Hello, everyone. We are back. Another episode, episode 4, with Martine Ali, jewelry designer extraordinaire, if that's even what you call yourself. To me, as I told you before, you are an artist through and through. You are a maker of things. You are like
Thank you.
taking back the craft out of the digital era and putting it back on our bodies and our bones. I literally was out here. I got all my
Oh,
jewelry.
thank you for
I
writing
was,
my mission
I was
statement.
gonna wear it, but like I need mine to get clean. Like I didn't want to show
Honestly,
you like
too.
any dirty stuff.
Oh,
I was gonna load up.
you and everyone else. We have to start a cleaning service.
Yeah, I need to get mine clean, but I would have been I would have been dripped in her jewelry if I could have if I could have. But
If it
seriously,
was clean.
once again, just thank you for joining. Thank you for being here, everyone. Like honestly, stay tuned because this is someone who's been working on her craft for years and years and years. And I just find what you do beautiful. Like I said, I think it's just something that we're increasingly losing touch of in this day and age because we're just all on our our phones and we're isolated. But like I think that handicraft, that doing things, that making things with your hands, manufacturing literally is important. And you're one of the people that I know who's actually still making stuff, and I just find it to be beautiful. So
Thank you. And that's the heart and soul of what we do here.
mhm.
So that's always something that will be done. And I think everyone missed this, but I did want to clear on. At the studio I'm working, so please excuse any noises you hear, any clink clanks, any chains you might hear in the background.
Yes, you are a worker, and I guess we can get into those questions. What you liked. I think that's really what it is. As you know, obviously everyone's growing. I'm growing. I'm trying something new. I'm not an interviewer or by chance, but I just love conversations. So like I just
Mhm.
said, like what questions would I want someone to ask me in a real way that aren't just like, tell me about your history. So like, where did you go to school? Like
Yeah,
I really
100%. So excited to not have to answer those.
yeah, I just want to get into a discovery phase where people feel like they're literally watching the show and they're learning something and they're really getting like that behind the scene that no one's gonna get that they could have only gotten from not from any other designer. So
Mhm.
I think I want to start there. Like I really genuinely want to know how you're feeling. Like I know you've been working your ass off. You've just been producing so much. How are you feeling?
Right now, I actually feel very hopeful, which is, I think, maybe not what people would expect right now. But I think we've all been put in a space where we're really rethinking our moves
Mhm.
and most importantly, the intentions behind those moves. So I feel really hopeful because I feel like it's just so much more clear now. And I think that because we are having to think about where we're going, who's going to be there, how many people, how long, it's forcing us to spend that time more wisely and to use our energy more wisely. So I'm feeling really great about that because I really needed it. And it's been a really, really, really amazing reset for me, and for the business. So I'm feeling very hopeful.
Oh, so like nothing's affected the business in a like a negative way. This whole entire
Oh,
situation.
oh, there's so much shit. I'm an optimist, so yeah, let me get to the shit. Oh yeah, that's pretty awful. I mean, COVID basically has done a lot to the business. A lot of our main suppliers and vendors are no longer in business. They couldn't survive.
No longer
So
in
from
business.
just yeah, like our two main sources where we get a lot of our materials from are no longer. So we're reestablishing relationships with new vendors. We're trying new vendors, which is kind of an arduous process, a lot of trial and error. So it's definitely created some rifts in the business. Also, a lot of retail stores have closed or are doing business differently. But truthfully, I started to see retail businesses closing before COVID.
Yeah.
So, that COVID just really kind of pushed it over the edge. So a lot of stores are closed. We shipped a lot of orders that were never really received, or a lot of orders were canceled. Um, so from a logistical space, shit's definitely fucked up. But, I'm the type of person where when I'm down, I'm up. So those challenges just are really forcing us as a team to redirect. So right now more of our focus is selling direct to consumer. More of our focus is that connection that individuals have with the brand. because, COVID has really made us realize that the individual people that actually are at the end of receiving the product, those are the relationships that withstand pandemics and life blowing up. So in order to reconnect with the end consumer, we're really reconsidering how we do that, and we're embarking on a lot more creative projects, and we're kind of inserting the jewelry sort of, as opposed to making the projects around jewelry. We're just being artists and being creative and putting jewelry on when we do it. So I'm super excited about that, because that feels more authentic to like who I am and what I wanted to do. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but in the last couple of years, I feel like the demand of producing product really kind of took me away from a lot of that. So I feel happy to like get back to like, what's exciting and what's stimulating for me, As much as I do love having stuff available in stores, making 20, 30, 40 of one thing isn't really the most fun,
See, that's the reason why you're an artist. Because I mean, I've always gotten that from even just going to your studio the first time. Like I saw the iterative process. It was really like, I didn't know if you were doing it for you or you had someone in mind, or there was an energy or an emotion that you were looking to capture. But like all your pieces, like they're so like singular. Like I haven't seen your shit anywhere else. You know what I mean? They're not referential or anything else that I've seen. It's not just, oh, here's a Cuban link chain and it's nothing else to it. No, there's always something different to it. Like even your bag designs were fucking crazy, and they're such an extension of what you do, because you walk around with your suitcase all the time. So the fact that you made like this sort of like chain guarded cage suitcase for sale it's just like so you. It's like that's that artist in you. I know, like you were saying about COVID, like the business implications are very serious, but like you, that like you said, an eternal optimist, that sort of like hustler's ambition, that sort of true artist. You seem to have like, you've just come up with product that I just wasn't expecting. I just have to be real. Like just you've really.
That means a lot from you. Thank you.
No, you've really taken what I would consider to be jewelry into literally adornment. It is literally like some throwback, like what I considered like, like old thing, like kings and queens, where like you'd walk into their house and like everything's a vibe. Everything's about them being royal. Everything's about them, being someone of note, of like status. And like, that's how your pieces feel to me in your own like sort of punk hip hop way. It's like, it's not just about having a chain and a ring. It's about having a chain, a ring, a plate, a suitcase. That's like, it's almost like you're making it a part of somebody. Like when you said going back to the individual, I see that. I really genuinely see that. I feel like you're giving us the things that we need, not just for the moments that matter the most, but every moment. Makes sense.
Wow, thank you for seeing that, because that's what's important. And I think the best compliment, the first time I really heard it phrased in a really wonderful way, was someone said, it's not just jewelry, they're like works of art with a heart and soul. And even if that's kind of like some corny, it's like I'm happy to receive that way, because that's what we're producing. There are these things for you to attach with and to build your identity with and around, and that comes from a lot of soul. We make everything here. Obviously, we work with outside vendors, etc. But the pieces are handmade by people, and like have that life in them.
It really does seem like you're more, even like you said, an artist who's considering someone's entire lifestyle. I really believe like you take a person, you said, what do they need for that day or that moment, and you make the things that aren't just literally chained just to, they're like getting dressed, but like what do they really need? I feel like you're seeing someone as a whole, almost like it's almost like you're designing fashion, but or like you're like, or homeware, or like, I don't know, interior decoration, but just all with just out against jewels, and jewels as like the medium in a sense. Is that the way you think through it? Or
completely?
And the couch, the key ring, it's everything. Yeah. It's really everything.
And that's what's kind of cool too about this space is, I actually did start out studying fashion design. I did it for 2 semesters and was like, wow, I can't handle this. So I can't even keep up. I just couldn't handle making the same piece, the same garment in like 3 different, like first you got to make the pattern and then the muslin. I was like, this is too much. But it is very much about, all of those different elements. And my very first job, when I worked in corporate fashion for a while, for 5 years, and I worked at DKNY and I was designing licensed products. And how that works really on the back end is as the company DKNY, we would produce these kind of packages that were visual presentations of product that we envisioned. And those packages would have to be in line with what the brand was doing. But it gets kind of dicey when you're taking like DKNY and trying to translate that into a tabletop license, which is literally like cutlery and plates and knives. So from a really early space in my career, I was thinking about how to move an idea and aesthetics through all of these different mediums and all these different forms. And I was working on a lot of lifestyle products. There I was working on jewelry, watches, eyewear. We had a home division. We had random stuff too, like golf and swim. But from an early space in my career, I was working with that process of taking an idea, like a visual aesthetic, and spreading it out across someone's life, you know? So I understood and I had an awareness of how, you know, something that makes you feel safe or sexy or edgy can also translate into a plate or a pair of eyeglasses, you know? And so that is actually very important to kind of how I think and how I work. It very much is kind of giving people these tools to kind of almost maybe like a language or an alphabet for them to kind of like speak to their own personal expression, you know? So
Yeah.
I'm super excited to push that further. And, you know, the bags were really the first extension away from the jewelry, and they've been really well received. So I'm super excited to kind of like keep pushing that.
Yeah. Is that it for you? Like that notion that you can really expand this world? Is that what you love about like making what you make? I can't call it jewelry anymore. Is that what you love about making what you make? Or is it something else?
That 100% I think is what I really love. And for me, I'm really interested in kind of the unfamiliar, and kind of like merging, for me, what's unfamiliar, but merging that with like what is familiar for me as well. So like, you know, for instance, if we were kind of talking about home products, it's like maybe I want to use one of the signature necklace chains as a chain that attaches a chandelier like from the ceiling, you know? So I'm really kind of trying to take like what's familiar of the brand and of the little kind of like nuances we put into the jewelry and apply those to other spaces. And that's what's like super, I think, inspiring and has so much promise right now, you know? Because I think as an artist, like once you lay that groundwork sort of and people know what you do or what you're capable of, then I think you have the room to kind of like push those boundaries and kind of color outside the lines a bit, you know?
Yeah, I see that, and now I completely understand it.
It's like the possibilities are endless,
No
right?
possibilities. I'm like really. I just had like a. I really honestly what I just imagined when I took that break was like, damn, now I want a table. I literally was envisioning us like a stainless steel table that you would make with like these little open ended legs. That's literally the thought that came to my mind. And I was like, that would be so fucking sick with like a Martine Ali in the middle of it. Oh, whatever. I had a little like design
I
style.
really, I know I'm really like, I love, like, the home is like becoming such an important space right now
Yeah.
for everybody. So I'm really trying to expand my capabilities in that direction, you know?
That's
That
right.
is the new jewelry, is like the table, the coffee table. That's the new bracelet.
It really is. No, seriously, what you said really is like even like home goods have been like sales wise have been going through the roof over this like lockdown because
Mhm.
everybody's like, hold on, wait, I'm at home. I need to change something. Let me get some like this. Let me get some this like buying dinosaur design plates and shit for $300. Not me. A lot of people I know. So like people have been investing in their home a lot more, and like I see your work such as an extension of that. Like that art makes perfect sense in those spaces, whether it's custom one-off pieces or one or two or whatever you decide. But like that makes perfect sense to me. You know, even Rick Owens does stuff like that for his sort of like
Mhm.
furniture line. Like that makes sense to me. That what you do.
Mhm.
Um, wow, whoa, 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 whoa. So I mean, it's kind of
Well,
hard to go and switch it to like asking you about how do you feel when someone's wearing your stuff. But I mean, I still want to ask that question. Like, I really would love to know your perspective.
um, I think, you know, as of late, I feel like, and I don't know if it's me being jaded, but as of late, I feel like it kind of feels like, oh, that's just my job, you know?
Is this your
Because I
job?
really, I'm like, that's my job, that's what I do.
Hmm.
But I'm stepping into a space, and this has to do with just a lot of personal awakening that's happening around just like the crazy changes. But now I'm really trying to like celebrate those wins,
Yeah.
um, and really kind of celebrate those moments because I didn't grow up with like Vogue. I mean, I'm sure I looked at it here and there, but for me, it was really like MTV Jams, 106 in Park. Like music videos were like my fashion shows, and that was like my references for what people should be wearing, right? So for me to now have my work in those spaces over and over again, that's a really big deal. So I'm trying to like celebrate those moments more.
Mhm.
And so the last one was ASAP Ferg wore this really cool necklace for this video with Lil Wayne. So we had like a little casual like screening at the studio with the people that work for me, and like just like it wasn't anything crazy, but just taking a moment to like recognize the work that we do and the platform that it's being put on and the visibility it's getting. But not just the visibility, the influence,
Mhm.
like that timestamp of like, this is 2020 and this is what, these big artists are wearing. That's so important. So I'm really trying to like take time to celebrate those wins right
Yeah,
now.
please do.
Because
Please do.
that's like, those are my ultimate goals from when I was a kid.
Yeah, like you're making dreams come true. Like that's you have to like take a moment and say, coming from that perspective, you've done Kendrick Lamar all over his damn tour, literally wearing your jewelry, A$AP Ferg in these moments. I'm sure other people I'm not even aware of and would be upcoming. Like those
Hmm.
are huge, big deals. Like as you said, it's your iconography, your art that they're wearing. If they were wearing Dior, someone's gonna talk about it. They're wearing your jewelry as a statement piece repetitively over and over again. It matters. It really does. It really does. Like
It
just
really does too. Like also because they're choosing to wear my piece instead of a Dior piece,
mhm.
and that means a lot to be in that space, that they have on, like one of my chains with like an entire designer fit, like that in and of itself is a huge deal also.
I think it speaks to like how people appreciate your art and where it stands in the hierarchy of like you just modern, like the modern just I guess I wouldn't call it fashion, but the modern art realm when it comes to just jewelry and refinement. Like people go to you when they want to make a statement or when they want to capture the moments that mean the most to them. And
Mm.
that may mean more than just someone buying it. It's like you wear Martine Ali when you're going to something that you're trying to make a memory. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's free.
That's so true. No, that's so true. And that means a lot, especially in those moments. That
Yeah.
means a lot.
And where does the inspiration come from? Like, seriously, like look at what you're wearing now. Like look at what you're wearing now. Like I just like it's just look at that.
This is
Like,
a
where,
fun one.
where
This
does
piece
this
is
where does
really
this come from?
cool.
Where does the
This,
inspiration come from?
okay, this is cool that we're on video because I can explain this to you. So this is one of my favorite pieces. I wear this all the time. It's just kind of a play on a traditional ball chain. But what we kind of did was we added this piece. This also is kind of a traditional keychain kind of element.
Mhm.
So not recently, but there was a time where people invested in keychains, and sterling silver keychains were a very big deal. Tiffany's made a bunch of them. So I kind of brought in that keychain element with the ball chain. But what's so cool is because you can kind of like open it up, and it's really easy. You just pinch this little circle, and hold on, wait. It's not that easy when you're doing it on camera. Okay, now I know what to do. Okay, so I just pinch this off.
Yeah.
It opens up, so I could slide the pendant off. So basically, this necklace, you can put any pendant on it. You can attach this to your pants. You can attach this to something else. But this is what I do. I want to give people pieces and tools for them to build their own look around. So like this is a really cool pendant I sourced. I'm really obsessed with crosses right now. I have a pretty insane cross collection. So it's like I swap out pendants on this piece all of the time, but like the idea of having that versatility in one piece is just really special. That's like the type of investment piece that you have in your wardrobe
Yeah.
that you can kind of transition and change forever and ever.
That's the epitome of personalization right there. The fact that you
Yeah.
have the base, like the base being so just refined and customizable, changeable, interconnected. Like you said, you can always get a pendant now, get another one later, get something special, for you,
Yeah.
something custom made for you, and be able to attach it at any point in time. I just love that sort of like it's almost what's the word? It's almost like you can literally build your own as you go and change you go and upgrade as you go.
That's what I'm trying to really do. And it's like, also what's quite important is I like, for me, the closure and the end is actually where I make the statement.
Mm-hmm.
The statement is the end. I love the necklace is about the end. And this is something that, I feel I've really pioneered in the industry, the accessory industry. So the closure is always going to kind of have detail, or the end is always going to be important. For instance, you can open this in two different places. It opens here, or it opens here. So the end is important, And I remember when I first started selling to stores, maybe let me think, it was 2013. And I got this one little store in the village, and I was making these chunky chain necklaces and putting these big hardware pieces on them, right? Because I was like, that's the brand, that's the point, like that's where I can make the statement. And she was like, she would email me every morning, and she'd be like, Martine, like I would sell so many more of these if you just put a traditional clasp on it. And she'd be sending me links to these like boring, basic jewelry clasps. And finally, I just had to tell her, I was like, look, like that's the brand, that's what it is. That's where I make the statement, that's where I make the decisions. The whole point is to have these chains that people have seen before with a different end. And fast forward years and years later, and everybody's doing it. But there really was a time at which my jewelry was mistaken for designer dog collars. That happened once too. Someone was like, what are these designer dog collars? Which is funny because I also went on to make dog accessories as well. But yeah, it's funny how that happens.
But I mean, it just shows that's anyone that's ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? Seriously, anyone that's ahead of the curve, there's going to be a catch-up period. And you've been, as you can see by your changes, modular. Who's making modular jewelry at that high level of a taste? It just goes to show the thought and the art that goes into it. These are not accidental like happenings that someone just like, what if I put gold on top of this brass? This is not gold plated, with like a cool shape. It's the ends matter just as much as the beginnings in a sense. And that shows the fact that you studied, you looked into it, you looked at every piece, you took the things that people would assume to be the most common or the most overlooked and made that the actual highlight, made that the point of sale. And that just shows the innovation in and of itself. Like when people catch on, they realize they're selling the Teslas of chains. once they catch on, they'll realize it.
Well, no. It's important to be able to have these moments where I can speak to that, because that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, I'm glad we're having it. We're not done. I'm taking more of your time. Okay, here we go. This is another question that I feel like people have been saying a lot, like talking about New York is dead.
New York
is like no. Rich people have left. We didn't care about them to begin with. Like the oil tycoons and the like the drug cartels that buying like $10 million apartments. They may be gone. It happens, but people who are still making the artists, the creatives, they're still in New York. What do you think?
First, I will say, anybody who says New York is dead, New York has already been asking them to leave. That's all I have to say at first, because New York is the type of place where whatever you give to it, like it will give it to you back, like in a flash of a second. Mm-hmm. So I really believe that a lot of the people that were just sucking up the resources and the energy and diluting the magic just kind of didn't really maybe need to be here to begin with. And I feel like now it feels so much more authentic. It feels like everything is more on like a need to know basis. Mm-hmm. Everything feels a little bit more like underground and like, I don't know. I wasn't here for the old New York. A lot of people talk about the old New York. But for me, I feel like it must be a return to that space. Mm-hmm. To just like, the people that have been here, that have gone through all of the phases in New York, have reinvented themselves 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So that's what you have to do here. Those are the people that are really kind of like spinning gold during times like this, because those are the people that are taking cues from what's left, what's missing, and a lot of new ideas and a lot of new concepts and energy is really starting to rise to the top. So it's like, if you are the type of person that thrives in an environment where you have to kind of regenerate, which I do, it's the most perfect place to be. And I think if you're the person that does not necessarily thrive from having to regenerate and you need things to be as they are, then like I said, like then this hasn't been the spot for you and it's not the spot for you anymore, you know, because right now it's really about like the true innovators returning to your craft, coming together as a community, you know. I've literally had more meaningful exchanges and interactions in the last month than I think I had in the whole last year, you know. And those are the things that inspire me to create, and those are the conversations that spark ideas and move the needle forward for me. So that's how I feel about that.
Honestly, that was literally the best summation of this moment that I've heard from anyone.
Do
Anyone,
you?
any platform, any screen, any device, any book that I've read, any article, like that is the best summary of the moment. And it's funny enough, when you were speaking, reminded me of like one of my favorite artists, Fran Lebowitz. And she used to do a lot of like art critique and like societal critique back in like the 70s and 80s with like Andy Warhol for Interview magazine. And what you just wrote is exactly what she would say. Like, no,
Wow.
literally, that's how like crass but straight and direct she is. She's like, no, the people weren't meant to be here. They're just not here no more. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. She would say this is perfect. You know, so I think that's a real like artist statement right there. Like, because I feel the same exact way. If you weren't meant to be here, if this what's happened now stopped you from going to where you want to go, and you're healthy still, it was going to stop you. Something else was going to stop you anyway. Because all this is a bump in the road to get to where you were going anyway. It should create more innovation. It should create more stimulation. It should create more opportunities. You should have more relationships. You should have more partnerships. You should be trying to reach out to more people now because you know everybody's been leveled. Like the playing field is here. The thing that you may have thought was out of reach, it's not out of reach anymore. We're all ground level. Who did you want to reach out to? Send them a message. I'm sure they want to hear from somebody. There's no excuses anymore. If you're not going to make it now, it's not going to happen. Let's do it.
Also, like, you know, my work is like very like basically I'm always making what I want to wear and what I want to use, what I want to have. So for me, this is like a golden opportunity because it's making me reconsider what are the objects I want to have? What is the jewelry I want to be wearing? How do I want to be wearing it? Where am I going? What am I doing? Like all of those things are making me like design like from a different place, and that's so important. And I'm like actually really grateful to have things shaken up like that, truthfully, you know?
Yeah, I think that flexibility ability is important because you're actually designing for not just a person in mind, but you in mind. Is that always the case? You know, can we?
Yeah, I always, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I never really speak to it. So I guess this is a good opportunity to. But there's a lot of elements that come together in my life. I like to think of it as a movie.
Mhm.
I'm the main character, and you know, this is my space, and the people I work with. Everyone is like cast. Like everything is like supposed to be in it. You know, and if I come across a person or a thing or a situation that doesn't fit, they're not in the movie anymore.
Mhm.
So like this movie that we're creating and that we're moving in, like these are the references, these are the important things we're wearing, this is the stuff we're doing. Like it kind of goes hand in hand with your last question. You know, it very much is about my life and what I want and how I want it to be and how big, how small, how prominent. Because I really do think that in this space, at least I don't know of, I would say FK Twigs is a really wonderful example. I don't really know of many artists that are like they themselves are the canvas, you know,
Mhm.
and their life or their lifestyle is the canvas. And so I think right now it's really important to be that person, because you could see it. I mean, I could see it. It's like waves. It's like I might do something small, and then in a month I'll see Louis Vuitton do it, you know? And it's like I'm not going to sit here and cry about not receiving credit or getting hired for that job. I, as an artist, actually feel pretty satisfied and fulfilled that my vision is impacting other people and impacting at large how people are moving through the world, you know? So I think it's really important to be that person. And I think people get very caught up with needing recognition and checks. And yes, I need to eat. And yeah, I love being recognized. But the influence is actually what I'm here for, you know?
Mhm.
And that's for my soul. Like, you can't pay me for that, you know, so that's already a tough space to be in, but the influence is very important. And that's what I'm taking more seriously right now. And I'm trying to think, why am I doing this? Who am I doing it with? What's it for? Like, it's very important because we need real life models right now,
Mhm.
like real life people, you know, and everything that's happened recently, it's definitely been a struggle for me because you can't just drop a bracelet, you know, like, yeah, I can, but it's like, why am I dropping that bracelet? Who's the bracelet for? Where is he wearing it? You know, even if it doesn't have this political message or I'm not an activist, it still needs to have an intention and it still needs to fit into the movie and be part of the puzzle, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's exactly why I truly 100% believe that you are doing this from your life. Because even going on your website, you wouldn't expect a jewelry brand to have an entire reading list of BLM or Black Lives Matter books that are literally very relevant to the moment. It's not just, oh, we put a banner up. It's no, here's required reading, recommended reading and minimum that you should have, the things that we're considering when you're making your art, the things that you're going through with your life. It's like, I guess you are your own muse in that way. And that's why it's so genuine. And that's why you as an artist designing for yourself aren't, very attached to this idea or this egoistic sort of thing. Like, I must get credit for anything that anyone else does, whether it's, a day after me, a month after me, a year after me. A lot of people do get caught up and blindsided by that need for credit. But because you seem to be one of these like true artists and great artists, who just have an endless amount of ideas that they ideate based on their lives and the things that they're seeing and the things that they're getting inputs and having outputs on. You seem to generally be able just to take it, roll it off your back, and move on. Because just again, your clasp idea alone is something that I've seen increasingly over the past few years, whether it's the leaks or whoever.
Oh,
Like, I mean, I've seen it. I know I bought the jewelry years ago. I know
yeah.
where I saw it
You're
first.
like, I know where that came from.
Hmm?
Yeah, you know where that came from.
Yeah, I know where it came from. I know where it came from. I know exactly where it came from because that was the thing that I loved about it the most because I was putting together like other chains that I had on top of it and changing out the settings. I'm like, oh, this must be what she does. Of course, not as good as you, but like that was when I caught the wisdom of it. Like, I can use this for so many different things. I've literally put a bracelet that you had and put the ends of a necklace and put it together and like worn it a bracelet. So it's just
Yes. Oh, amazing.
so like
See,
you,
that's the influence that I'm talking about.
yeah. So
Like, letting people know that that's possible and just people's minds expanding in that way. For me, like, that's the point of me being here, you know? Like, that's the point. And, like, just on some higher level shit, like, I just have to be confident in the powers that be that I'll be good, I'll have a roof over my head, I'll eat, whatever, you know? Because if we don't attach our work as artists to a larger purpose, you know, someone else is just going to steal it anyways. You know? So,
they can't steal your purpose. That's true. They can't steal the essence.
yeah, you know, there has to be that other thing that fulfills you in that work, I think, you know, and just hearing you say that you're like experimenting in that way, like, that's it right there, you know.
I just hope the authenticity wins. Because sometimes, like, you have a real mission, and your mission like seems to genuinely be navigating through life and creating these beautiful things that you need or that you just find to be genuinely beautiful as you go along. That could be useful. That are part of a message that are resonant, like are related to life, and just not just how much money can we charge for this thing that I can make. And I think that's where I hope, at least what I believe, what I'm hoping towards, and what I would like to, I guess, amplify is the people that are making things that have meaning, but they're studied in they're studied and rooted in art, and they're not just like, what is your mission, money? Like, versus like, you, what is your mission? We've all heard it in this meeting and excuse me, in this conversation. It's about the making things for yourself and for people that have value to their lives, that give them give them a tool for a moment and then educates them as they go through. Because it's like, I didn't find out and realize the fact that I can mix and match, the chain and the bracelet until much later after I had it, because I was like, what if I did this and this? Because something had broke on another chain that I bought that was like vintage. And I was like, what if I just put that together? And then, so it was like, I was like, I didn't know I got like a master class when I bought this, a master class on jewelry when I bought this chain,
Perfect.
But then it made me realize like, oh, like, she intended this. I just got it. But that was your intent to come along. And those sorts of nuggets, when people realize they got more than what they expected, is always like the true, like happy moment that you give people, like really making them feel like they made an investment.
Exactly. And, you know, as a brand, as a creative, I'm trying to figure out better and more effective ways to communicate that to then consumers. So that's always kind of something that I'm moving through.
Honestly, what you just did early in the conversation when you took the chain off, took the usage of pendant off the chain, and then went back and unsnapped it. I want to see a whole video on that. Like that could be a series of you just snapping and
Literally,
mixing and
thank
matching
you.
different chains with like some fly ass music, and like that alone would it just shows you the handicraft and the work that goes into
Well, you just gave me an idea. Yeah, we're gonna have to make videos like that.
it. Yeah,
They're just gonna come out. Yeah, we're gonna go live a lot. That's coming next.
let's do that. I'm the most like enthralled by your process. And I know people don't get to see it from like maybe your Instagram or wherever, because you just showed them like a lot of the end results, like the end beauty. But I am super interested in the in between process. I would be interested in even learning it, to be honest with you, from you.
Cool.
Like
Yeah,
even
I
having like a
mean,
little like
that's
tutorial
a
day or
space.
workshop.
That's a space I would really like to move into.
Mhm.
I have done a few workshops, but um, they haven't really been, I think, at the in the space I really want them to be in.
Mhm.
Um, but now I think everyone's like much more ready for that because people are really interested on the level that you're speaking to. I think before it kind of maybe went over people's heads or it kind of wasn't really as impactful or something like that. But I'm really trying to like move into that space,
Yeah,
and kind of like give people the opportunity to kind of like have all the tools in front of them and see what that can kind of turn into.
I know it's like adding a bunch more work to your plate, but I think
Well, it's good. I mean,
yeah.
that's why these conversations are so important also because you think of things and you hear someone else's perspective and it opens my mind up as well to things that I could be doing and should be doing.
Yeah. Okay, random question, but I read another interview of yours and I was like, is she really still doing this? Do you still set a reminder to remember when to eat?
Oh my God. When I saw you were going to ask that, I was like, wow. No, I don't. And that actually is a really important topic that I was really excited to speak with you about. So, yeah, I used to have to set alarms to remember to eat, and I would also set them at a 4 o'clock alarm, which was kind of like, okay, it's 4 o'clock, like get your shit done.
Yeah.
And that alone actually really speaks to where I was before and where I am now.
Mm,
Because before I was in a space where nothing but the work mattered. And like if I got into a zone, it's like I don't care if I'm hungry, if I have to pee, whatever. It's like I would be working. And allowing yourself to enter into that state of flow uninterrupted, I think was very, very, very crucial to my success at the beginning.
mm,
Because, and I'm not saying it was healthy. You know how they say like love hurts? It's
yeah,
like fucking success hurts. You know?
true.
It's true.
It's
It's
true.
like, to be honest, you really have to put your work above all else for a period of time to see it take off. It's like, Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours
Mhm.
kind of statement. So that was a space I was in my career where, and like I said, it wasn't healthy, where I was just working and, at my own expense, at my own personal relationships, my head was just down and I had like blinders on almost. And to be honest, that's 100% why I'm where I'm at now. And, now I'm in a much more like free space in my career where I am more comfortable saying no. I am more comfortable being like, honestly, I can't really manage all of that. Um, but I only got there and I've only allowed myself to get there because of all of those years that I put in where I would do anything. And that's why I have a lot of clients, specifically stylists, that come to me time and time again because they know no matter what, like it's going to be fire. And when they get it, like it's going to add something amazing to their work. And I wouldn't have been able to build those relationships and for people to have that faith in what I do unless I had kind of like put myself through that like rigorous, time like vortex, like my studio now, I have a window. It's really nice to see the light coming in. But this is the first studio where I ever had a window.
You were really.
Because, well, first of all, I couldn't afford it, but also what was great about not having a window was you never knew what time it was. So you could just like disappear into your work, you know? And that was very much a time and a place that I needed to be in order to be successful. And I would tell anyone else that as well. Like, if you really are trying to make shit happen, like you got to like cut everything out, like literally, like, and just focus on like what you want to get done, and it will happen. And it's very uncomfortable, and you probably lose some people along the way, but like that's kind of what it takes, you know. And then you enter a different phase where you can say, okay, you know, now yeah, I'm gonna step out and have lunch. Now yeah, I'm gonna say no to some things. Yeah, now I kind of have a window. I know what time it is.
I got some like in the dungeon.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that that's very important to getting yourself to where you want to be, you know? It's like pushing yourself like that. And like I said, it's not fucking healthy. It's not comfortable. But if you have a goal and you want to get to it, that's what you have to do, you know? At least what I found is that works.
I don't know anybody, myself included, and even more so people who are much more successful than me, you know, my friendship group, no, none of them have ever not gone through that process. And you said years. It requires years of being like just there's no other way to do it. You have to be so mono-focused, and I wouldn't call it a self-absorption, but it's an absorption in the work. Like you have to put 20-hour days like over and over again. You may not eat, you may not forget to eat. And it's just what is required, period. There is no other way around it. Whether you're playing basketball, whatever, like you got to want to play basketball as much as you want to breathe. You got to want to make jewelry as much as you want to eat. You got to finish that thing and be like, it tasted like water. I don't know how, but me putting this together and making this chain tasted like water. I just had a steak. It tasted like a steak. No one can tell me the feeling of making something that you wanted to make exactly how you wanted to make it, or having a breakthrough. Breakthrough doesn't sustain you. That shit can sustain you for days. I've lived off an idea. You completed.
You're so right. It's like food, it's like sex, everything. All of when I come up with a really cool idea and I'm like, wow, like I just had a creative baby. I'm like, this is what mothers feel like.
Yes. The closest thing that I could ever have to it, but that's what it feels like. Because it's the work that goes in. I can't describe the feeling, and I think when I say to some people, and I think I probably mentioned in the last episode with my friend Bianca, I'm talking about that lust, and it's not a lust of anyone else. It's a lust of like having an idea, a thing that you want for yourself, and executing it, and only being focused on that one thing, and not thinking about anything else, not thinking about yourself or anyone else. There is something it's inexplicable. You can't describe to somebody who hasn't gone through it. It's like a high, it's a drug, it's a fantasy, it's a dream, it's everything. It's sustenance, and nothing feels better. It's like a life orgasm. I can't explain it. I can't tell nobody.
And in and of itself makes all of the other shit worth it. Just and if you know.
And you got to look around. You look around. It's like, okay, so how many friends do I have left? Because your real friends are going to be there anyway. But that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I just lost you. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I can see you.
I have this annoying Adobe update that always takes over my whole computer screen.
I can hear you. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is, though. Like, just like everything else in life, it's a trade-off. In order to create, you have to lose, or like transmogrify something into something else. And sometimes people don't realize, but like the price of, like the cost of something is never like the cost. It's the cost of your time. It's the cost of your friends, your relationships, your health. Like everything takes something, and a lot more than what you would expect. You're going to lose something in that sort of like transformation. To becoming great, something else has to be less than great. And I hope people really take that into consideration.
100%. It's very much, you know, a give and take that's not comfortable, but that you kind of need to step into if you're really trying to, you know, take yourself from point A to point B, you know?
Exactly. And I understand, like, maybe it's just artists in general or like really motivated people. I've been asking myself, like, is that from like a point of rebellion? Is it a point of like self-centeredness?
Why do I torture myself?
What? You said what?
Why do I do this? Why do I torture myself?
Why do you torture yourself?
Yeah, what you're saying.
It's just how I say for myself. And again, I'm not as successful as you are, hopefully one day. But
no.
For me, when I think about it, it's like
I'm thoroughly impressed every page I turn.
Oh, the book. Oh yeah, thank you. Hold on, plug.
So beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. One day, for me internally, I'm like super proud, but I just got these other like bigger grand divisions. But I get there in a couple of months or years. But just I just feel like with regard to like that sort of like feeling of like needing to do something for self, I feel like it's just maybe it's a rebellion, maybe it's like some artist of mine, but I feel like it's just like a wanting a purpose. To me, when I think about it, it's like this gives me purpose. This is the thing that I'm gonna wake up to want to do. Like, I don't know. I feel like we always find things to try to pass the time, but I want my time to be or like mean something. If that makes any sense, I don't know. I feel like the things that we do, it's not me trying to.
Oh,
I don't want to pass time. I want to like feel it. I want to be present, and like making these things makes me feel present.
so much sense. And I think, it made sense, but since COVID, like it now, like that's just the way it has to be because, I have this like sensation of like my time here now. It
Yeah,
doesn't really, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't
not
really
there.
fit
Yeah.
in it right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's like day to day, how am I spending my time? Who am I spending it with? What am I doing? Like I look at it as it's either positive or negative. Everything I'm doing is either adding something to my life or taking away from it.
Yeah.
And I am trying to have as little relationships and encounters and time spent where things are just being subtracted. It's like right now I really want, meaningful conversations. I want hangs with my friends where I walk away and feel fulfilled or feel inspired or feel like I know where I need to go. Literally just
What did you say? I heard some
at the
music.
having a window. Do you hear that?
I hear that. I hear it
These
now.
people walk by with like speakers on their shoulders. Like,
That's just New York being New York. That's why it's the best place ever. That's why it's the best place ever, and it's not going to die. You can't get that in like what Wisconsin or Wyoming
exactly.
or Montana. Go find that someplace in Delaware. That's why New York is not dead.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Exactly. See, you're right. That's how I feel about
Exactly.
that. But that's what I was saying. Like, I definitely feel like, that's super important about like our time. And
Mhm.
I've gotten way more serious about my own personal process of archiving my design process and my work and creating actual like tangible booklets of these things
Mhm.
because it's like I feel like I'm creating like a giant time capsule of like what we were doing and what we were wearing and how we were living. It's like I have just this sense now of it being really important to like use my time, like you were saying, in ways that are fulfilling me and kind of like documenting like how we're living right now because it's crazy and it's going to change so much in like 10 years from now. Like who knows how people are going to look back on this time.
If we get to a place that it feels like a somewhat normality returns, whether we just get accustomed to this or we move back to where we were a little bit closer, this time is always going to be remembered. It's impossible for it not to be. This was an upending for everyone, and it's one of the few times in probably like world history where we've all collectively, for the most part, at least 80% of us, have all been in the same place, inside, caught, trapped in a sense, worried about something or something else, or food or jobs or bills or catching some disease. It's like we've all been faced with our mortality in a way, particularly at the beginning, where it's almost like we all were human for a second. We all were one. Hopefully, we can hold on to that a little bit and realize that we're all in this shit together still. Not just when shit is looking bleak, but overall, we always all are in this shit together. But I don't know, but like you said, you're creating that time capsule, and I think this moment. What I was telling myself is that I want to go through this moment with grace, so I can look back on it and say that I grew and I didn't diminish. I didn't buckle under
Yeah.
pressure. I wanted it to be something that was a defining moment, no matter what happened, where I could look back and be like, I was the best of myself and not the worst. And
Hmm.
I didn't want to crumble under anything, and I feel like I haven't done that, and I'm proud of that, and you haven't either. So hopefully others haven't either. Um, maybe I.
That's huge. These types of experiences, and we all have them in different ways in our life, but they'll make or break you. And I do think it's important to use these difficult times to push us forward.
Mhm. Like what? Speaking about that, so like, what have you been holding on to? Like, what means the world to you now? What are you looking? Are you looking forward to anything? Is there anything like that you're really just like every day or next month that you're just like, I really can't wait to have that shit, or you've been leaning on?
I feel like, truthfully, I feel like myself.
First of all, I want to thank me for being me and having me and holding me down. But that's real.
Honestly,
That's real.
like,
That's real. Like,
and you know me, but for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm an insanely, modest person that does not come from a place of wanting to, toot my own horn. Like, but I am just like really trying to rediscover like what I actually like to do, what I don't like to do, the things that bring me joy, the people that bring me joy, the places, the spaces. And I'm just like so excited to see like where I'm going to be next after giving myself this kind of love and attention. Like I just can't even wait. Like who knows, you know?
it's gonna be a whole
So
nother
I think that like that's really what I'm looking forward to. And with anyone I have a moment to kind of exchange with and speak with during this time, like that's really my message, is to really put that energy back into yourself and to really, you know, like you were just saying, like use this to make yourself stronger, and that's why I have been archiving, cataloging, and journaling, and because it's kind of like I'm excited to kind of be able to look back on this time and look back on what I was doing and the things I was pulling together and have it feel like a cohesive, clear direction, Who gave that speech? Was that did like Snoop give that speech? I feel like someone did give that speech. Like, I
No,
want to thank you.
that was Snoop. I want to thank first of all, I want to thank myself. That was Snoop. That was absolutely Snoop Dogg. I think he was wearing a blue velour suit when he said it. I think it was at the Walk of Fame. Actually, I think when it was Walk of Fame, I think he said, I want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you to me for doing all of that, writing their songs, what I'm saying, making them beats, being as tall as I am, having his voice. Yeah, that
Literally.
was Snoop Dogg. It had to be a rapper. Nobody else could like come off with that except
Yeah. You know who else is like that, who I've been listening to a lot and kind of looking more into? Oprah's like that too.
Really, Oprah.
Oprah's like, people always say I'm full of myself, and it's a compliment because I want to be so full of myself that so Oprah is also on that page, but Snoop and Oprah, like those are really wonderful people to aspire towards, so it's cool.
I can
I'll
accept that.
take it.
Exactly. Take that, at least for this moment, right? It's not a bad thing. I mean, ultimately, we all just have ourselves. No matter who else we lean on in moments, it really just comes back down to us, our minds, the way that we perceive the world, and what we're gonna do. I've been saying for like a very long time, but like nobody gives anyone a good life. It's not in any store. There is no place you can buy it. You create that for yourself. There is no good
Wow,
bookstore. You don't buy that shit.
that's
You earn that.
powerful. That's really nice. I like that.
Yeah, so you've earned, you've done, you went to you went to work and earned yourself a good life. So you should be able to feel like, one, you did it for yourself because you did, and you earned it. You just put in the time. Like people need to stop being this. Of course, have to be modest and be humble, but like I don't I don't like when people who've done the work won't accept that I've done the work. I really have.
Yeah,
And for you to get
yeah,
to this level, you have to, one, do the work, and secondarily, obviously, be innovative, be interesting, tell your own story, really like filter yourself down to the essence, and then from that essence try to create something for everyone else to be able to enjoy from it. Like, I mean, that even goes to another point that I wanted to ask you. Like, if you could give advice to anyone, they can't be you, they can't be Martine, they can't make your jewelry, they can't have the same idea, but like, what would you tell someone, whether in jewelry or art, starting out now, maybe a 20-year-old, probably just graduated college, or thinking about making something? What would you tell them that they need to have? You probably already tell them with regard to the hard work and it's like taking time to isolate, but if there's anything specific. Just keep it
I
the jewelry, because I think that'd be interesting. Keep the jewelry, or like art in that sense. Yeah.
I think I would say a physical space that
Mm.
is devoted to your work and your craft. And that physical space could damn near be your apartment or wherever. But when you allow yourself to create the world that you want to design into or create into, you're giving it merit and you're giving it value. And you're also embarking on a practice. And the idea of a practice is very, very, very important. Like, yeah, sometimes I feel creative and sometimes I don't. But I go to my studio every day, or I try to. And I try to dabble in some stuff here or there. But giving yourself a practice, an artistic practice, that already puts your work on a pedestal. Because it's important enough that you have to carve out time in your day. You have to go to this place. You have to sit down at that desk. You have to go into that corner of your room or whatever. But getting into a practice allows you, like I said, to give it meaning and merit, but it gives you sort of a framework or the ability to kind of know you have to put in that daily work. And the word practice is really important, you know, because it's almost like it can almost be, we talk about practices as in being like spiritual or artistic, and it's like that's really what you have to tap into. I think it's really about aligning your intentions with your hands or whatever else you create with, but giving yourself like a designated space and time for that, you know, because I find a lot of times what happens is like we have all these ideas and we have all these things we want to do, and they exist in the cloud, you know. But when you give yourself a real life cloud, you know, like a tangible cloud where you're like, you printed it out and you put it over there into that area, you hung it up on the wall here, that's when the practice starts to manifest and the work really takes physical form. Because I think as creatives, we have a really hard time flushing ideas out. You know, we think of all the reasons why they won't work out before we even put it to paper. So just that practice of creating a workflow for yourself, creating systems for yourself, knowing this is there and that's here, that is so beneficial because a lot of times the most creative people, and I've known some of them, the most creative people, the most visionary people, where's the work? Where's the shit?
Point.
You know?
That's a good point.
But it's the one who's in there every day getting after it that has the stuff to show.
Mm.
So that, like creating that diligence in your practice, I actually think is on par or sometimes can even be more important than the vision. You know?
I agree. I think there's a lot of artists that, even in this day and age, they're they may not even be the most quote unquote creative, but because they produce so much, they work.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be mindful. And there's some very major people in that sort of realm that are just
Yeah,
literally their art is almost their volume. You know?
exactly. And whether or not that's good or bad, like I can't speak to
Mhm.
that, but you know, what I like to use as a metric for my own fulfillment and my own success, like I was saying, is that influence, is seeing those ideas translate elsewhere and seeing them pop up. And that comes from volume. That comes from producing. You know, no one's gonna see it if it's not even out there.
There you go.
You know?
It really does speak to, like, I think we as like people as artists, for some reason it's because it's supposed to be art, we don't realize it's supposed to be discipline as well. You know, there's people who are rappers, they go to the studio every night.
Yeah.
They may only put 10 songs, but I went to the studio every night. I made 10 songs per night, but the album only has like 12 songs on it, but I have 1,200. Like Tupac and others, like, think about it, it's like, because they were working. You know, it wasn't like every time he went to the booth, it was like, got another hit, I'm out tomorrow. No, you did 1,200, you picked 12. You know,
Yeah.
people, you know, that sort of iteration, like you said, that practice, that study, that diligence and discipline is like so important. I think there's no better advice that could have been given. Like, seriously, it's
And
important.
you hit it on the head. People are like, "Oh, you're an artist," and you know, I think my personality kind of like comes off a certain way, like carefreeness. But it's actually substantiated by like a lot of solid work and effort and thought and strategy,
Mhm.
and that is like, yeah, like kind of just as important as the ideas sometimes. A lot of times, you know.
Exactly. Well, I know you're a busy lady, but is there anything else? So I'm not gonna keep you too long. Is there anything else that you want to share that I may have not asked you that you think is really, really important that people should just know? Or anything,
Hmm.
about anything, anything. It could be about caviar, tacos, pizza.
Yeah. What do you want? Well, really cool stuff kind of in the works. And it kind of has more to do with, you know, the lifestyle elements that we're working with here at the studio. So it's not just product, but how we're going to be releasing those products and how we're going to be kind of like building the world out around the jewelry that I'm super excited about. Um, so if you see me doing some new shit, some different shit, just double tap and like it or support because that's something that I think is very important as a creative to build and expand upon the world you're creating in, you know, like you're a writer and I think your work is actually a really wonderful example of that. You know, yes, you're a wonderful writer and you took beautiful imagery, but the book and the world you created around that is just like beyond, you know? And when, as a creative, as an artist, when you're able to take all of those different things you're good at and build the world out, that I feel like is definitely like the highest. Wait, what is that? Father?
I don't know. That's not my side. That's the real. That's the real.
I'm really so excited for me not to be on this call. They're like, can you stop?
Well, okay. As we wrap up, then, but
Oh my
I want to see something. I want to see some gems. We had this great conversation. I want to see like gems. Take them off the wall. Let's see some stuff. Yeah.
That's what we're working on, which is really exciting. Let me be right here.
Jewelry tour.
Okay, so we have 2 new shapes I'm very excited about.
I mean, let me give you the sneaker view. Ooh, oh, that's beautiful. Does everyone see this? Does everyone see this? This is important. Look at that.
So this is sick, and it kind of opens like a portfolio.
Oh, that's amazing. That's dope. Oh, that's
so
fire.
The other day, I had like a little watercolor kit, and I like put it in here, and it was like my little fold-out like art easel studio.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's amazing. I love that.
And then there's one other one I really love too. This is like kind of like a lunchbox shape, but just look at how sculptural.
Are you guys seeing this? This is what we're talking about. So think about everything that she said. Look at those shapes. Look at those shapes.
This is the bag I've done so far. You could fit everything in here, but this is like the lunchbox shape right here.
Martine, honestly, seriously, like it's profoundly beautiful and profoundly functional. I mean, you and your team, you really have to just say, let's give it. Okay, I'm just gonna clap. I'm just gonna clap. I'm just gonna clap. Honestly.
I'm excited about this one. I wore this as I tested it. It was pretty cool. Put all my stuff.
I just hope that people really, you know, in time, they see exactly how incredible of an artist you are, how forward-looking you are with your work, how absolutely talented, and just you look at your businesswoman on top of everything else, you are literally making it happen, selling it through, delivering on all sides, from marketing to business to ideation to art. Like, I just hope you really get the flowers you deserve. And I just want to say, from my perspective, you know, as a person speaking to you and has known you and has bought your stuff and has seen your work, I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for existing. Thank you for working. Thank you for being bold enough to do what you love, because you've created things that we've all been influenced by. And it's really touched and it's resonated. Like you gotta accept that. You've done things and they've mattered.
Thank you. That means a lot, you know. It means a lot coming from someone with your vision and your direction, you know. It means a lot to be appreciated by, you know, real recognizes real, so thank you.
we can end it on there. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you, everyone. If you've been listening this long, we'll be back for another one. But you guys have really got to like resonate on what Martine just said. She dropped a lot of jewels, like jewels, baby. Seriously.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys. I'll say bye to the team. Bye, team.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
All right, bye. Talk soon.
Bye. See you.